Natasha, and thank you so much for joining me today. Well, I often get asked, what do you do with those small, tiny stamps that come in these gorgeous stamp sets? And they can be helpful, but it's sort of helpful to know what we can do with them. So, for example, the presents here or the little hat, this is the Honeybee Belated Birthday. Now, this one here is probably one of my oldest stamp sets, but most loved. And this one has obviously lots of little bits in it. And then this one here is this little flower here. Like, these are gorgeous, but what do we do with them? And so this is one of my favorite ways to use these up. Now, as I said, this one here is the Lawn Fawn. It's called Little Bundle. And as I said, this is old, but I cannot part with this because it is just perfect for me. This is my perfect baby set. The sentiments in there, the little clothes, it has done me well. Now, I knew that my ink pad was dry. My VersaFine Onyx black ink pad was dry, and so I'm going to re-ink this up by moving a little bit of ink around the top of the pad. Here's the key thing when you are re-inking. You are adding so much ink back into this ink pad, and you'll sort of know when the ink pad naturally absorbs it all. You'll sort of see it absorb down, and you'll know that once it stops absorbing it, it is going to be very full. You can also test it out by stamping it as well, but once it begins to, the absorption rate tends to slow, to stop with the inking. And you can see here, sometimes you need to wait for the ink to really settle, to move about, and you'll see that actually this third one here is the nice crisp stamp that I'm after. The first one is like blurry and bold. The second one is somewhere in between, but the third one there is actually that crisp stamp that we're after. So don't go rushing in after you re-ink. Give it 30 seconds or so to settle, to find its place, and then you can start stamping as you normally would. Now, with each one of these, I am going to stamp out plenty of these, more than I possibly need, because when I am in the mood for making these, I tend to just go for gold and stamp out a whole lot. Then, of course, because of my colouring techniques and I am not super careful, I'm going to emboss these with some clear embossing powder. And I like the super fine one. It gets into all these little small details really nicely. But I do this with all of my images, and this means no matter what colouring method I'm using, I'm pretty much going to be safe. I can't smudge the black ink if it is trapped underneath that gorgeous clear embossing. Now, I just heat this until it turns nice and shiny, everything is melted, and then again, the world is always your oyster when it comes to colouring. The options are endless, and if you don't think you're good at something, then just pick one pen, one kid's pen, and just colour it in. It's okay, it doesn't have to be complex. Now, from the Sending Sunshine set, I also did some of those flowers as well, in exactly the same fashion that I did the baby onesies. And then I'm going to colour these. Now, today I'm going to use my alcohol markers. These are the Tri-Blend Spectrum Noir, and I cannot go on about these enough, particularly if you are not confident. And that is me with my alcohol colouring. I also don't really love taking the time to coordinate and find the colours that all go together well, because I don't use them often enough to know it off by heart. And so I am able to just pick up one pen, and it has 3 colours already sorted for me: a light, a medium, and a dark. Every single pen has that, and I'm away laughing. I don't have to sit there and swatch them all out and make sure it's the right thing. I can just go. Now, I had 2 blues here. I'm only going to use one pen. I don't want to complicate life. And remember that one pen is actually 3 different pens, 3 different shades. And so I am just testing which one. One is more of a turquoisey colour, as the name would suggest, and one is more of an icy blue. So I went with the slightly more turquoisey one. And then all I do is, if you want to, you can colour in the entire thing with the lightest colour, and then I come back in with the medium colour and go around the edge, and then I just go back over again with the light colour if I need to blend it in a little bit more, but if I don't. Otherwise, if you want to skip the first step, and I just go around the outside with the medium colour, and then I colour in with the light colour on the inside, just to blend everything nicely. This doesn't give really dark shading. That's not really what I was in for. It doesn't really matter when these elements are very, very small. I'm sure there are many people out there with beautiful artistic abilities when it comes to blending and using alcohol markers and making them look realistic and beautiful, but actually this is just fine, and that's okay too. It's okay to, just have regular, beautiful colouring in like this, and this is definitely my style. There is a little bit of of blending. It is hard to see, but there's a little bit. And then I am going to fussy cut these images out. Now bear in mind, I choose carefully when I fussy cut. Yes, I am going to fussy cut all of these gorgeous flowers as well, but I do choose carefully. Now the little onesies were super easy because all of the lines are essentially straight. Again, same with these flowers, I can really move my scissors around these pretty fast. Anything that has like zaggy and jig-jag sort of edges is not for me when I'm fussy cutting. Certainly not fussy cutting out this amount. If you want to and you had a die, then you could most certainly use a die. I'm going to show you another option with an embossing folder in just a second as well, just in case that's what you have. Now I am going to again just do some really light shading, just using all one pen. Go around very dark on the outside, then do some mid shading on some of the lines that are already there, and then colour in with the lightest one and fill it all in. Really nice and quick. You could also do this with some inks and some watercolours and watercolour pencils. Whatever you feel like you can colour in this with, but it's nice small amounts of colouring, which I appreciate. Now I'm going to cut all these out as well, and I will spare you that, but as I said, I can move my scissors around the outside of these pretty quickly. You do end up getting a relatively good technique where you can just hold the scissors pretty much still and you're moving the image with your left hand and sort of rocking it around so that you can go right around the outside of the image pretty easily. So I will go ahead and do all of these. If you want to, you can also take a black marker and go around the outside and make all of your fussy cutting lines look perfect. Now this is an embossing folder. It has the Christmas stockings, I would say, and this is what it looks like when it is embossed. It is beautiful. It is absolutely just all these gorgeous little socks. Now this one actually comes with 4 little dies that you could die cut it out, but if you didn't have these and you just have the embossing folder, then this is also a viable option. If you don't have little stamps and you're thinking I don't have anything little like that, well then check your embossing folders. I'm going to do the same process with these. I'm going to color these in. I can be pretty forgiving, pretty rough with the coloring here because I know, again, I'm going to fussy cut these out, and it's super simple because I'm just going to whip around those edges. There's no tricky edges for me to fussy cut with these little socks or stockings, and so this does make it really easy. I'm also picturing like a campfire or a chimney fire, and then these stockings hanging over the edge, the windowsill, above the fire. That would look really cute as well, and you could do individual stockings for that. But for this one, we're just choosing all the little images. Now, as I said, doesn't matter where they come from. It might be a die cut that you have. It might just be laser cuts from ephemera that you already have, or you might choose to stamp them and color them just like I did as well. Right, let's get to actually using these in our card making. So I am going to create a few different cards here for you. I have this set. This is the mixed scalloped rectangles from LDRS, and there are a few different sizes here that I feel like I could use. These are sort of all different, there's some scalloped ones, there's some tighter scallops that are kind of closer together. That's the one that I'm going to use now, and they also do a little bit of faux stitching on them as well. There's several different types in this set here, and this is becoming a favorite very quickly. It's new to my stash. And then I'm going to cut out a couple of those panels. We are going to do some blending. Now for this one, I am going to keep life simple, because if I am just creating the one card, now it's different because I'm creating a few for you here, but I'm just trying to give you options as per usual. This channel is about giving you as many options as possible, and I've just done the flowers and I've used the one alcohol marker to do that. Well, why not use the alcohol marker to create our background as well? No point getting out or trying to find inks that match if that's not something super simple, or you just have the alcohol marker, then let's use that. So I'm going to mask off a little area here in the top. I have used some mint tape to do that, which is just a low tack tape, and then I am just going to use those 3 alcohol marker pens. So simple. And then I do the dark area, and then I do the mid, but then I go back over the dark area with the mid just to make sure we get a really nice blend between the two. And then I do the lightest one and I go back over it all, just, roughly, not with perfection. And then that is going to give me the lightest area in the corner as well. So we're keeping it simple by just using one item, one pen to do all the coloring and the background. And then I'm actually going to give this a little spritz with my Airless Mister, and this is going to give it a shimmering gold little mist over everything gently. I am going to cover up the other white portion because I do want to stamp a little sentiment in there as well. Now remember, these gorgeous little flowers came from the Sending Sunshine stamp set. Again, this is a favorite of mine at the moment, and I have been using this consistently for the last few months. I absolutely love this set, and one of the reasons I love it is because it does have good sentiments in it too. Now, I'm going to use one of those sentiments for this this card that I'm creating as well. There are a few on there, but I'm going to choose the one that says, "You are such a sweet friend." Now, I had previously cut this up because I was doing other techniques with it in other videos, which I have on my channel. So I will just put the pieces together. Now, originally I thought I was going to do it on an acrylic block, but actually because I'd already put some effort into that background, I decided to switch it up and do it on a stamping platform just to make sure. Now, inside my stamping platform, I have the Ultinew, I think it's called an Ultinew sticky grid. It's meant for their stamp wheel, but I actually cut this down and it adheres perfectly onto my stamping platforms. All of them that I have, it has worked perfectly. I do cut it down, obviously, but you can see there is still perfect, great space there to line up your card vertically or horizontally, and it has lasted me far longer than the previous. I used to use these Sizzix sticky grids in here, and they didn't last me very long at all, although they were double-sided, so I was able to flip them, and I could eke them out a little bit as well. But this one I have found has lasted me very well. I've never bought more than one and just used the one. Now, here is that gold. You can see shimmering gold there in the background, and then we are just going to use these flowers to create like a separation between the white and the pink that we've created. So I actually only need 5 of these, and I could just put them down nice and flat like that, but what I decided to do is do one in the middle nice and flat, and then I would do the either side of that with a little square of foam tape on the back and alternate going flat and then popped up. Nice and easy when I've only got a small number to do, but just pop a little square of foam on the back of those two. You could all do them nice and flat, and I will do that with the other ones as well, but just another option for a little bit of dimension. I have popped some foam tape on the back of our panel there as well to go on our card base, so there is some dimension to it already, and then I pop down the last one with the foam just up here. Peel off the backing to this, and then it is going to go on a 4 1/4 by 5 1/2 inch card base just in the white, and so this is creating like a white on white look. Now, I absolutely love this, and it is a crisp, clean border that we've got there, and a nice easy card to use up some smaller stamps that you might have in your stash. Now, we are going to move on to the next one, and for this one I'm going to do the little Christmas stockings. You can see that gorgeous gold shimmering. I love that spritz. Now, the gorgeous Santa stockings. I'm going to use Twisted Citron and Mowed Lawn Distress Oxides. That's basically just a couple of the greens that I have. Again, I've cut down my panel a little bit. I have a piece of mint tape across there. Instead of using the alcohol markers for the background, we're just doing some inking that literally takes me less than 30 seconds, I would say. It is very, very quick, and I just blend these nicely into each other. So I go light, dark, and then light again, and I'm all done. That's it. Very, very quick, especially with the oxides. They blend together beautifully, and those two are very close to each other in color, and so they're nice, easy blends. And then from here, I'm going to stamp out the big and bold Christmas stamp set from scrapbook.com. As I've mentioned in previous videos, I don't do a whole lot of Christmas sentiments and things, but this one caught my eye for 2 reasons. One, it had a great discount off it. Scrapbook.com do great discounts on their products, so you should have a little look. They often do 50% off, and have lots of good deals and lots of good freebies. I don't get paid to say this. They don't send me any product. I purchase all of my product. It's just that they have great shipping prices for me here to New Zealand. They're nice and quick, and it means that I can, get things on a good deal. And then I have stamped out the bottom part of that sentiment in just some black ink, some VersaFine Onyx black ink, and then we've got Believe in the Magic of Christmas. So I really like that little sentiment, and then we're going to add our little fine little elements here, which we actually cut out from an embossing folder. So they are very textured as well already, and so I didn't feel like I needed to put them up on foam tape or anything. And I am going to hang them kind of like they're hanging I'm actually going to draw in a little loop like they would be hanging from the hearth or hanging from the windowsill or wherever you have them, hanging from somewhere. And so I will draw in just a little loop on each one and pop those on. They're all nice and flat because I've already got a little bit of dimension, and then I've got some foam tape behind here. Again, it's just going to be a gorgeous panel on a white card base. And then that is going to be that card done and dusted. You could add some little gems and things, but I'm going to keep this one fairly good as is. I'm rocking through these cards today because this is a longer video, and I know some of you don't mind. I really do appreciate hearing whether you like them or don't like them, that's for sure. And sometimes I try and keep my videos shorter. I try and keep them to around 12 or so minutes. I feel like that's a good snippet of time, and then you can head away and actually do a little bit of creating or be inspired. But these videos where I show you multiple cards, several different cards, just end up being a bit longer. And so it's always a fight in my brain. Do I show you one card and really focus in on it, or do I show you several of the cards? And sometimes different techniques lend more to one way or the other. Now, this one here, I have got my little die cut. I'm actually going to use the frame that this creates rather than the actual piece that it has die cut out. And so both can be good. We may as well use both pieces, and both the positive and the negative. I have a couple of different inks here, tumbled glass, and I think it's peacock feathers I'm using as well. I'm going to do a vertical one for this one and do a little blend, light, dark, then light. Again, I start with the light, do the darker color, and then come back to the light to blend it nicely. And this is going to be for our little baby onesies that I have got. And I'm going to stamp my sentiment from that same stamp set. So each one, I just use the stamp. The first one as well with the flowers, I just use the sentiment that came with the stamp set. I'm going to start directly in the middle here with the onesies. You could start at the top or the bottom and end up cutting one of them off as well. That would work fine. But I had a feeling that 5 were going to fit quite nice. I'm going to pop these nice and flat just with some art glitter glue, and I can fit them all directly along that line that we have created. And then this sentiment says, a little bundle is here. Now, along with this gorgeous stamp set, I've actually looked this up, and I was going to tell you that it is long gone, long gone, but it is actually still there. I have just looked it up, and as of the time of filming this video, it is still available. And I actually have the dies for it, which, again, I purchased these many moons ago, and clearly, if it is still in production and still on their website, it must be a good one. And I will testify to that actually it is beautiful. A beautiful, gorgeous, very handy, versatile stamp set. This time I popped up the border on the foam tape rather than popping up the inner panel, just to do something a little bit different and keep it a little bit different than the other two. And then I did stamp out that little Tweety bird at the top there, and then this one has, like, honestly the most dainty tiny little stamps down the bottom, and there are some stars and hearts and things. These are so teeny tiny, and I'm going to stamp out a couple of these teeny little hearts. There's the hollow ones, there's solid ones, and they're absolutely gorgeous. So I've got a couple of those on there too. And we are all done. That wraps up 3 fabulous, gorgeous cards that you can use small little elements from your stamp sets or your die sets or your embossing folders and create these gorgeous little cards here today. Thank you so much for joining me. If you'd like to show me your versions of these and you were inspired to make something, then I'd love to see them. So come over to Come Crafting with Natasha on Facebook. We have a lovely, gorgeous, big group of supportive, like-minded people over there. And speaking of like-minded places, NatashaFooteCreative.com. Come over to see me there with some card classes. But other than that, I will see you on the next video. Thanks. Bye.